Hey there, Gary Parrish. Welcome back to the CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting, dodo birds, and leaky black. The Eye on College Basketball podcast is, of course, presented by Jersey Mike's Subs. Jersey Mike's, a sub above. Matt Norlander is here with me. He's at home in Connecticut. I'm in a hotel room in New York City, in town doing studio work for CBS Sports Network. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button like you're Brandon Davis. You have consent. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please knock that out while you're here. Let's get into it. Today is February 15th, 2023. We're more than 3 months into this season, and the following two totally unpredictable things are true in this moment. One, preseason number 1 North Carolina is winless in quadrant 1 opportunities, more specifically 0-9 in Q1 opportunities. And two, Pitt, which was picked 14th in the ACC, 2 spots below Louisville, is in this moment alone in first in the ACC standings. Make sense of it, Deadleg. How do we get here?
First of all, you had me thrown to start. You got no headphones, but you're going with the in-ears here? You got
in-ears.
Okay, all right, there we go. As you know what? It's a slick look, but if you've done that, I didn't notice in the past couple of shows, but I noticed
I didn't plan on doing it this time. You know, the headsets that we had, our official podcasting headsets, they have a screw-in adapter.
Yes.
I didn't travel with the screw-in adapter.
You know what? That's a good look too. I like it. I like
this. I think I like this better.
It's a good look, and Digger Phelps thanks you. I got word he might have been suffering from a pretty brutal cough the past couple of days. So
my God, that's all I need is to ruin Illinois' season and kill Digger Phelps all in the same calendar year.
I feel he's getting better by the moment, though. There we go. Yes, Pittsburgh is alone in first by record, 12-3, tied in the loss column. Virginia's 11-3, but Jeff Capel is on his way to winning ACC Coach of the Year, and I say this lovingly, like it's about damn time, because
you sound like Lizzo. You think you woke up this morning and decided you're going to be Lizzo.
That's right. When Capel got the Pitt job, many expected that yes, it was going to be a rebuild and it would take some time, but the expectation, given his solid run at VCU and then some really good years at Oklahoma, and then he had spent almost a decade being the number one guy on that bench for Mike Krzyzewski for the majority of his time there. It just seemed like it would work, and the level to which Pitt's program was broken, I think, was underestimated by pretty much everyone. And it's not just that, like Capel, it's on him to turn it around, and he did not through 4 seasons. Pitt was a mediocre to downright awful team the first 4 seasons of his tenure there. And now in year 5, sitting here at 19-7 and coming off of the kind of win. Again, I'm glad we're starting with Pitt. And we're going to talk UNC, just talk the top of the ACC to top this show, because I take a lot of stock in victories like what Pitt logged on Tuesday. It's at home, it plays Boston College, and it's not a game. Okay, Pitt's now won 6 in a row. Its longest streak in God knows how long. I'll check this in real time for you right now. Last time Pitt pulled off 6 straight wins in a season, I'm looking. Didn't happen last year. Didn't happen the year before. Didn't happen the year before that. And it started 6-0 to start Capel's first season with walkovers, but 6 straight in league play. It has been years and years and years and years. We're talking 7, 8 plus 9 years at this point. They win. They get 11 3-pointers, and they're getting consistent play from so many guys on down the roster, even guys who we weren't necessarily expecting to be alphas on this team, Jamarius Burton being one of those. And so it's an awesome story. Pitt's not safely in the field yet, but it's atop the ACC. It's won 8-9 overall, and it's 18-4 since November 20th. It's one of the better stories in the sport, one of the more surprising stories in the sport, along the lines of, say, a Marquette, but for different reasons. And we'll get to the Golden Eagles in a few here. But as you mentioned a few shows back, this is why I love this sport, because it is dependable, just how undependable this sport can be. We had North Carolina number 1 in the preseason. Pitt wasn't projected to be a top 13 team in the ACC. It was picked 14th. And now we look up UNC. I would not have in the field. I understand that some might have them just right there, going to Dayton in the moment right here. And meantime, Pitt's sitting pretty, and is some good stuff there. So to me, the bigger, to me, the thing here on this Wednesday is more about Pitt than UNC, but we need to talk about them both because obviously Carolina was not able to handle its success well after losing 3 in a row. It took care of business against Clemson at home, then had another home game against Miami. And if anything, the Hurricanes really showed again why they need to be considered, a viable Final Four candidate. But in doing so, UNC, and we'll have this in a triple handoff on the site later today, UNC is now it's flirting with infamy and being the first preseason number 1 not to make the NCAA tournament. Will that happen? I still think they're going to barely get in, but it's rough right now. What are your thoughts on the Panthers and the Heels, GP?
Well, we'll get to North Carolina in a minute. On Pitt, I'm with you. Everything you said. Pitt's a proud basketball program that was really operating at a high level under Ben Howland, then under Jamie Dixon, and it's been in a bad place for a while. Hadn't made the NCAA tournament since 2016. I hadn't had a winning record since 2016. So I'm glad this is a Wednesday midweek podcast as opposed to a Thursday midweek podcast so that we could say Pitt is alone atop the ACC standings because, as you know, on Wednesday night, Virginia is playing Louisville. So the Cavaliers, barring something that is literally unimaginable.
I cannot imagine. I can't get there. I just can't.
It was easier for me to believe UMBC would beat Virginia in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. 2018, yeah. Than it is that Louisville will beat Virginia on Wednesday night. So I'm assuming by the time we go to bed, Virginia and Pitt will be tied atop the ACC standings with 12-3 records. But either way, really terrific stuff. They're on a 6-game winning streak. I put them, the Panthers, in the top 25-1 this morning. Pitt fans have been asking on social media for at least a week now, but probably longer, why aren't we ranked? Why aren't we ranked? And so when I put the Panthers in the top 25-1 this morning at number 26, I was like, I even did something I don't normally do. Normally I just write a little like, here's the Wednesday morning's top 25-1, some thoughts on whatever. And then it's like, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, link. And this time I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ... 26. You do this sometimes. Pitt.
That's right.
Because I wanted him to see it. I thought they'd be happy. And immediately, these ingrates are coming.
They
from my
didn't
throat.
appreciate.
They didn't appreciate their place in the top 25-1.
The starving stray cat is given just a taste of the good stuff, and it no longer wants that cold, soggy milk anymore. You gave him a little bit, and they're like, "What? You think this is good enough? 26? Get the hell out of my house!"
You haven't had a winning record since 2016. I put you in the top 25-1, and you're still angry. Why are you angry? You're on a 6-game winning streak. You're finally ranked, and you're angry. So numerous Pitt fans have asked the following question: like, forget why are we not ranked right now? Because they're still not in the A people. Why haven't we been ranked? And as respectfully as I can lay it out, here's the deal: Pitt is 5-2 in quadrant 1. That's terrific. 5-2 in quadrant 1 is great. 3-3 in quadrant 2, not as great. 2-1 in quadrant 3, not as great. 9-1 in quadrant 4. So they've got 2 losses outside the first 2 quadrants, specifically a quad 3 loss and a quad 4 loss. Also, you might have noticed there, nearly half of Pitt's 19 wins are quad 4 wins. And the Panthers, again, have a quad 3 loss that's to Clemson at home and a quad 4 loss to Florida State at home. Panthers are 54th in the net, 55th at KenPom, basically outside of the top 35 in every computer we reference. So that's the bad. If you're a Pitt fan wondering why Pitt hasn't been ranked, like your answer is in there. And the comments you get from various people are always whatever. Like you'd have some Pitt fans over the past week or so say stuff like, we have this many wins and this many losses and we're competing at the top of the ACC. Why are we not ranked? And the answer to that question is because any record without context, I thought people understood this, but maybe not. Any record without context in college basketball means absolutely nothing. Like there is nothing dumber than when somebody tweets, we have the same record as this other team, but they're ranked 14th and we're not ranked at all. Why? Why? Is it because you're an idiot, Parrish, or AP voter, or whatever? And no, that's not it. It's if you're asking that question, you're the one who's an idiot. Like, who cares if you have the same record as some other team? That doesn't mean anything in the sport unless the two teams have played the same schedules, which, of course, is never the case. How about this? You ready for this? I looked this up this morning. Motivated by Pitt fans' anger, I looked this up this morning. Kansas right now. Kansas, the Jayhawks, reigning national champs. Bill Self's coach. Yes. Kansas has the same record as Kent State and North Texas. All three of them are 21-5. That doesn't mean Kent State and North Texas should be ranked similarly to Kansas. Dum-dums. Because the substance of those 21-5 records aren't even close to the same. And that's been Pitt's problem for a while, to bring this back to Pitt. The record, especially the ACC record, is nice. But the substance has mostly been so-so. And while I'm on one, let me address a question I got.
Someone's asking now, is this a Pitt bashing session or a Pitt? Because we started off.
Okay. You know what?
Praise to Pitt, and now.
I'm aware of this. And you know what? This is, you crazy Pitt fans, this is your fault. You did this. All I wanted to do is tell you how much I'm happy for Jeff Capel. But now you've pushed me. You were ungrateful. Oh. So now you push me. Especially this guy. There's a fellow on Twitter. His name's Chris Klein.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I finally ranked Pitt this morning in the top 25-1. And here's what Chris Klein had to say. You know what he should have tweeted? Thank you, GP. It's nice to see. It's been a long time. I would have liked that tweet. I would have enjoyed the reply and then actually liked it. Here's what he tweeted instead. How can you have Northwestern over Pitt? They beat Northwestern by almost 30. I know Northwestern beat Purdue, but have also lost recent teams they should have beaten. Pitt gets no love in first place, unranked with 4 teams behind them ranked. Doesn't make sense. That was Chris Klein. You know what doesn't make sense, Chris Klein?
The actor from American Pie is in your mentions, by the way. That's the story. Wake up.
Is there somebody named Chris Klein in American Pie?
Yes.
Could be the same guy.
We already have a no context. That's a no context image right there.
Could be the same guy. This always drives me crazy. We beat this team. How can we be ranked lower than that team that we beat? The people who make that point never apply the same dumb logic in reverse. For instance, it is true that Pitt in November beat Northwestern's brains in at Northwestern. That's a fact. Chris Klein, if nothing else, Chris Klein was right about that. Here's another thing that happened in November. Pitt lost at home to West Virginia by 25. Why isn't Chris Klein from American Pie asking me how I could have Pitt ranked ahead of West Virginia, given something that happened in November? I'm telling you, on a daily basis, there's nothing dumber than the replies to the top 25-1. Like 99% of them are the dumbest things you've ever seen.
Yes. You got to get out of your mentions.
Every once in a while, somebody makes a good point, but it's mostly just stupidity. Either way.
Congrats to Pitt.
I don't want any dumb fans from Pitt to ruin my excitement for Jeff Capel. That's sincere. This team was picked 14th in the ACC, now alone atop the ACC standings for at least a few more hours on a 6-game winning streak. 5 quadrant 1 wins at Northwestern, at NC State, at UNC, beat Miami, beat Virginia. Like you said, great story for Jeff and that program. He entered this season on a hot seat and was picked 14th in his league. That almost always means this is your last season coaching that school. And now it's, I'm assuming, certainly not going to be. Like I said, Pitt hasn't had a winning record since 2016, hasn't made the NCAA tournament since 2016. One of those things is definitely changing, guaranteed. The other is likely to change. So that's awesome stuff. Hell to Pitt. Hell to Pitt.
HTP. Here we go.
HTP, hell to Pitt.
To be fair, though, if you really wanted to get back at the Pitt fans, just jump on the bandwagon.
That's true.
I could. I'm driving the Pitt train away from running this thing straight into the ground. I'm not going to do that. I would not do that to Jeff Capel. I like him too much. I like Pitt's program too much. I love Pitt's colors too much. I love those Pitt colors. That comes from a sincere. I love them. Like, those are my favorite colors. If you told me to pick my favorite college colors, I would pick Pitt. And yet some of these fans are ruining it for me. And I should be clear. I know it's not all Pitt fans. It's just the guy from American Pie and a few others.
Yeah.
But still, those are the ones. They should have been appreciative. Just a simple thank you, GP, would have been okay.
Thoughts on Carolina?
They stink. They stink, boy.
Woo!
0-9 in quadrant one. How about this? I got 4 schools right now that got more quadrant one wins than North Carolina. Louisiana Monroe, Dartmouth, Central Michigan, Eastern Illinois. They're all 270th or worse in the net. They all have more wins.
Trivia time.
Okay.
Mascots for all 4 of those schools.
Louisiana Monroe.
I think I got them. Yeah. Joint trivia time.
Okay, Louisiana Monroe, they're the Eagles.
I think they're the Warhawks.
Yeah,
Not
probably.
a correct us in real time here. All right, what's the next one? Dartmouth? That's an easy one. What's Dartmouth?
Dartmouth Demons.
Dartmouth is the Big Green. What's the next one?
Central Michigan.
Oh, that's an easy one.
It's the Chippa somethings.
Come on, you're almost there.
Chippa
Infinitesimals.
The Chippewakas.
Chippewas,
right.
And then what's the last one?
Eastern Illinois.
That's a boring one. You know what that one is?
Yeah, the Eastern Illinois. The Eastern Illinois.
We just finished talking about a team with the same exact nickname.
The Eastern Illinois Panthers?
That is correct.
Okay.
Let me check that Monroe one. I think they're the Warhawks. I don't know if I could give you all 363 mascots / nicknames, but I think I could come close. Warhawks, baby. Give it to me.
The Warhawks.
11-6. Not the Warhawks, not Hogs.
No, I know the Warhawks.
Okay. Warhogs would be badass as hell and the best one in the best nickname in the entire.
Arkansas should become the Warhogs.
They should. They really should. They might need to be honest.
You know how that Gonzaga can be the Zags or the Bulldogs? Yes. Arkansas should be the Razorbacks, the Hogs, or the Warhogs.
I agree with that. Your best take on the pod in months. Couldn't agree more with that. And you're telling me the Warhawks have a quad one win?
They do. They're ranked 341st in the net, and they have one more quadrant one win than the preseason number 1 team. Like, that is insanity.
I'm looking at this schedule. They're 11-16, and 3 of the 11 wins have come against non-D1 teams. It's at Marshall. Okay, it's at Marshall. That's the win.
They went and messed up the Warhawks. You don't remember when the Warhawks got the Thundering Herd?
I do not.
You don't remember that?
No.
This leads me to an even better trivia time.
Let's go.
Trivia time. There are 6 power conferences in college basketball. ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Big East, Pac-12, SEC. In those 6 conferences, there are 9 schools still without a single quadrant one win.
Ooh, this is a good one, GP.
North Carolina is obviously one of them. So I'm looking for the other 8. What other 8 power conference schools still do not have a quadrant one win?
All right, the Big 6 conferences. All right. UNC is 1. Louisville is another.
That's correct. 0-7 in quadrant 1.
Nebraska just picked up one on Tuesday night. Nebraska walked into Jersey Mike's arena. They just walked right in, so they have one. Georgia Tech got to be 1.
Georgia Tech has a quadrant 1 win.
No, it does not.
That does.
So I'm at 2, and there are 7 more in the Big 6 that don't have a Q1.
Yep.
All right. Georgetown is 1.
Georgetown is obviously 1. Georgetown is 0-10 in quadrant 1. That is tied for worst in the world.
I'm gonna say DePaul is 1.
Why don't we ever say it like that?
Xavier, though. DePaul beat Xavier, right? So
yeah, DePaul is not 1. I don't know why. We always say, like, I think they're the best team in the country. We should say, I think they're the best team in the world. Expand it to the world. Where else are they playing college basketball?
Well, I mean, if they're going head-to-head against the Celtics right now, I don't know.
Well, technically, the Celtics are in the country. So if you say, I think Alabama's the best team in the country, like, you're looping the Celtics in there, too.
That's true.
I think, here's what you got to say. I think Alabama is the best college basketball team in the world.
Okay. Let's just do it. Let's not even stop there. Not even the solar system, not even the Milky Way, our known universe. All right. The old known universe. Because I can't account for all the multiverses. I can't speak to that. I just know what's happening in this one. Known universe.
I don't even know what's happening in this one.
You don't. Oh, damn. Where were we? Okay, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame is 0-5 in quadrant one.
All right. How many? I think I'm at 4 right now.
You have named North Carolina, obviously, Louisville, and Notre Dame. I think that's and Georgetown, 4. Right? Yeah, we got 4. We got 5 left to go.
I'm trying to go league by league. The only other one in the ACC that I think might be there is Florida State.
Florida State actually has a quadrant 1 win, but you do need to spend some time in the ACC.
Oh, there's another school.
Would you be surprised to know there are 2 more schools in the ACC with 0 quadrant 1 wins? And one of these will actually surprise you, I think, because it surprised me because I was like, hold up, they're pretty good.
Get out of here. 2 more in the ACC. Okay, I will come back to that. I'm thinking that Oregon State and Cal are terrible. They got to be on the list.
They are both. They are the 2 from the Pac-12.
Okay. Oh, you're helping me out. It's only those 2.
Yeah, Oregon State's 0-10 in quadrant 1. That ties Georgetown for worst in the world. And Cal is 0-6 in quadrant 1.
So are we up to 6 teams here?
You need to name 3 more. That's correct.
Okay. And 2 are in the ACC. I'm going to say Syracuse.
It's 0-5 in quadrant 1.
Okay.
But that's only because some other teams bought.
And I'm gonna say that I don't believe this should be the case. No, there's no way it's NC State. That's like a half guess, but I'm saying it because of how you hinted it before. Is it really NC State?
NC State has quadrant 1 wins.
Okay. But you think this team is pretty good in the ACC?
It's just they've had some notable wins, and yet, as of this moment, 0 quadrant 1 wins.
I'm scanning. Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech has 2 quadrant 1 wins.
Yeah, I thought they had a good one, and it's not Georgia Tech.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I know who it is. I think I know who it is. Only because to no avail, I was trying to explain to this coach 2 days ago why if you win a game by 1 point instead of 20, you might go down in the metrics. I'm going to say it's Wake Forest.
Wake Forest is 0-5 in quadrant 1. That surprised me.
Yes. Yes.
Now, there's one more team from a different league that you're missing.
It's no one in the Big 12, obviously.
Let me go ahead and run you through that. Every Big 12 team has at least 3 quadrant 1 wins. Every Big 10 team has at least 1. Every SEC team has at least 1.
So we've gone.
And I've already told you it's not the Pac-12, and I've already told you it's not the ACC. So it's obviously in the Big East.
Yeah, I thought we had covered everything there. Seton Hall.
Seton Hall has quadrant 1 win.
DePaul, Georgetown, Seton Hall. Butler's it.
Butler has a quadrant 1 win.
No way. The bottom teams in the Big East right now are Georgetown, Butler.
Butler is 2-10 in quadrant 1. DePaul is 1-7 in quadrant 1.
Golden Gate Mike.
Golden Gate Mike is 1-7 in quadrant 1.
Don't do that to me. Gosh. Georgetown, Butler, DePaul, St. John.
This is another one that you would have never predicted in the offseason. That actually isn't getting.
Dude, Villanova is the only team left.
0-8 in quadrant 1.
Get out of here. Get out of here with this list.
The best thing for Cal Neptune is that North Carolina is North Carolina and Kentucky is Kentucky, because Villanova is not really getting roped in with them, but they probably should be roped in with them. Like, this is, again, we get into conversations about blue bloods, and everybody agrees North Carolina wins. Everybody agrees Kentucky's won. Then, Kansas, everybody agrees. But then people start debating. Duke, everybody agrees. I don't know whether Villanova is a blue blood or not, but it has been one of the great college basketball programs of the past 10, 15 years. Multiple national championships, 3 national titles in my lifetime, and they are 84th in the net, 0-8 in quadrant 1.
That's a trivia time loss for me. I took too many guesses to get there. So, but that's a damn good trivia time and a nice little tour through the sport there. North Carolina, just to put a bow on the Tar Heels, if you are a believer in this team's capability of even making the tournament, which every time we talk about this, it's just outrageous given who's on the roster. The way that Miami was able to go in to Chapel Hill on Monday night and win definitively, man. Jordan Miller really might be. Now he's just starting to get some more run. And I admit, when I was watching Miami for the first couple months of the season, a lot of, Norchad Omier has been solid. Nigel Pack has had some really good performances, and he had 23. Isaiah Wong is probably the team's most important player, but Jordan Miller is maybe the most underrated player in the country. And part of that's because Miami's been kind of flirting with the rankings in and there and out of there, but they're 21-5, and there's a reader question in today's mailbag at the court report that it kind of asks, is Miami, if it wins its remaining home games in the league, can it get a 4 seed and play in Orlando? I think so, but I think Miami's going to finish at least 3-1 in its last 4 regular season ACC games. I think that's how many it has. And then it'll at least get to the ACC semis. And then, Miami is going to have, I think Miami will be playing games in Orlando, and the Canes are for real. They need to be considered among Final Four contenders. UNC is just nowhere near that. And it doesn't matter. Like RJ Davis had a good game. Leaky Black played relatively well. Caleb Love hit some big shots. But you kind of look up and you're like, why is Carolina in this kind of game again? Why does this kind of keep happening? And if we're going to bang on Kentucky for its inconsistency, then certainly UNC is deserving of it all the same. There's enough there that I think they're going to get it, but this sets up, and we'll talk about it on Friday's show. We are now setting up for UNC at NC State. That's on Sunday. That is, you got to win it if you're North Carolina. And your reminder, because I see you, State fans, the past 2 weeks, the only team in the polls from that state doesn't wear Carolina blue, doesn't wear Blue Devil blue. It's been NC State that has been ranked. Now, Wolfpack got picked off at Q's on Tuesday. I get that, road game. But it's NC State's that's been your reliable program, and that's almost never the case. Usually, if it's reliable, one of the other two is there with it. But that has not been the situation at all this year in the Triangle.
Just to put a bow on this, more than half, if you didn't pick up on it, more than half of the power conference teams with 0 quadrant 1 wins are in the ACC. 5 of the 9 are in the ACC. Only Georgetown and Beaver Fever are worse in quadrant 1 than North Carolina. Now, in fairness, 4 days ago, North Carolina did have a quadrant 1 win. It was over Ohio State.
In name only, though. Yes, in name only.
The Buckeyes were 48th in the net at that point, but now Ohio State's 53rd in the net after falling to 1-11 in its past 12 games. Lost to Michigan State on Sunday. So that quadrant 1 win for North Carolina flipped to a quadrant 2 win, which made UNC winless in quadrant 1. You mentioned our dribble handoff is going to be on North Carolina. How are they going to finish? Are they going to make the tournament? I haven't done mine yet. I'll do it when we're done here. But I just for the record, I still think North Carolina is going to be in the NCAA tournament. 4 of their 5 final regular season games are games in which they'll be favored. Now, they just lost a game in which they were favored, so who knows what that means. But I think they'll close okay enough to squeak into the NCAA tournament. Maybe first 4, maybe not. I think they'll get there. But the idea that we're even having this conversation on February 15th is kind of outrageous. Let's move on. What a game Tuesday night inside whatever they're calling the dunk these days. Final score, Providence 94, Creighton 86 in double overtime. Going to get into that and what it means for the Big East race next. But first, a word from our partners.
Italy's best clubs and brightest stars bring show-stopping skills and unbelievable thrills in the fight to the finish for the Scudetto. Stream every Serie A match live on Paramount+.
Big game Tuesday night inside Amica Mutual Pavilion.
It's the dunk.
The AMP. It's the AMP.
Not to me.
Amica Mutual must be furious with the state of things because nobody will call it Amica Mutual. Nobody will. Even on Inside College Bat, like we were in studio all night last night, and John Rothstein's like the dunk. Like he won't. And he knows it's not the dunk anymore, but he just refuses to acknowledge what it actually is. And I don't blame him. You can't just start calling the dunk Amika
You got
Mutual.
an arena in the heart of New England, Dunkin' Donuts Center. It's the dunk. That's
It's
just
the
how
dunk.
gotta be.
They're trying to call it the amp.
Nah.
I watched a whole
No.
I watched a YouTube video with the president of Amika Mutual Pavilion, so I could make sure, because I didn't know whether it was Amica or Amika.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
didn't want to be mispronouncing words the way you so often do.
You're dialed in. Hey, listen, we can both be guilty of that. Let's be honest there. But I tell you what, the calculus crew came for me. They found me with the fury.
How about this? I was so unfamiliar with that word, I didn't even know I was saying it right and you were saying it wrong.
I know. I've heard many of folks call it infinitesimal, so I was going off of that. But infinitesimal, there you go.
You know how people always say when you're laying on your deathbed, you're right.
Yeah.
I feel like when I'm laying on my deathbed, one of the things I'm going to think about is how much time I spent on YouTube watching clips, just trying to figure out how to pronounce somebody's name or something.
Feels like there's better use of your brain as the final few synapses fire. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm going to focus on that. And once I'm done with that, then I'll think about my children.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's talk Providence.
94-86 over Creighton in double overtime. So Providence is now 14-0 at home this season, 9-1 past 10 games in overtime. Tied for third of the Big East standings, despite losing 5 of the top 6 scorers from last season's team that won the Big East regular season title. We've spent a lot of time talking about Jerome Tang at Kansas State, Shaka Smart at Marquette, and Jeff Capel at Pitt, all wildly overachieving relative to expectations. Here's Providence again. I mean, they lost 5 of the top 6 scorers and clearly headed to the NCAA tournament and at least still in contention. I know a lot of teams are technically in contention, but realistically in contention for another Big East title. I don't think they'll get it, but they woke up today still in realistic contention for it. It's a nice story. And like we've talked about Ed Cooley many times over the years. He's just fabulous. He is just fabulous in every way. Coaching a basketball team in a basketball game, running a basketball program, engaging with the community, just like, you give me a program to start somewhere, like he's on the short list of guys I would want running it.
I agree. And he is just continues to build his legend in that area. He obviously grew up there. Providence, Creighton fell for one of the classic blunders. It got involved in a 5-point game against Providence.
Can't do that.
Shouts to John Fanta for this stat. I put it in my court report on Wednesday as well. In the past 9 seasons, when Providence has a game decided by 5 points or fewer, Ed Cooley's teams have won 71% of the time. That's incredible. 5 points or fewer, 71% win rate, and as you said, 9-1 in overtime games in the past 10. He's awesome. He said last night, this is becoming one of the hardest buildings in the country to play in. Becoming is no longer needed there. Ed, it is in the top 10 hardest. When you look at the win percentage, the fan base, I was watching that Creighton Providence game and I tweeted this. It has me so geeked for the Big East tournament. I mean, the top 5 teams in this league are all awesome. All can make the second weekend. Many of them have Final Four aspirations. Devin Carter was a boss. 25 points, the best he had ever scored in a college uniform, and helped Providence nudge away a really good Creighton team that was riding its longest win streak ever in Big East play. And yeah, they needed to play 50 full minutes on it. Really, really good game. And we got another one coming tonight, by the way, on CBS Sports Network on our air. GP will be in studio. And because Providence won the game against Creighton, it now sets up a Xavier at Marquette. Winner's going to be in sole possession of first place in the Big East. But that could flip, obviously, by the time we get to the start of the Big East tournament. Xavier still will not have Zach Freemantle. Marquette is the lead item of the court report today. That'll be linked in this podcast description. Please do check it out, because the Golden Eagles have been able to be another one of those big surprises. Lost 4 of their top 6 scorers, picked 9th in the Big East preseason. Shaka Smart's going to win Coach of the Year. Ed Cooley's doing a great job. Shaka Smart will win Coach of the Year, and he's done it without a Division I transfer on the roster this season. Now, Marquette's not the only one, but it's the only one, as I point out, that didn't come into the season projected to be a tournament team. UCLA, Indiana, Michigan State, these were all teams that didn't add a D1 transfer last offseason and were thought to be tournament teams. Marquette was thought maybe fringe NIT. Some friends of the pod even playfully poke fun at our preseason predictions, and I appreciate that. Shouts to crack sidewalks and paint touches and anonymous eagle. They got us good. But the point is, Shaka Smart was able to do this, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but he gave me some really good insight and quotes about transfers looking for money and him straight up abandoning recruitments of transfers, deciding intentionally not to add a D1 player. And now Marquette's top 6 players are all sophomores that lead the team in scoring there. So that's an awesome Wednesday night game. I think Marquette, just like Providence, just like Xavier, just like Creighton, can win the league. And Ed Cooley has managed to do it again. He's the opposite. And I have Shaka quoting Ed, or talking about Ed in a quote in the story, and that Shaka's not saying, listen, the way that we did it this year, it's not the only way. It's just the way that I wanted to do it. Ed, meantime, he's methodical about it. He knows what he's doing. They bring in a ton in the portal. You've seen that. Bryce Hopkins has been one of the 5 best transfers in the country. And I think one of the defining stories of this Big East race, and there's been there are really 7 or 8 major plot lines to it. It's the fact that, and no, they're not playing each other this week, but you've got Marquette that added one NAIA dude. That's who they added. Okay. And then they brought back a lot of guys that people underestimated. Meantime, Ed Cooley wins his first Big East regular season championship in school history last season. Then they lose the majority of their dudes. He goes into the portal, and Providence was given more of the benefit of the doubt, was not seen in the preseason as a viable Big East contender. And now we look up, here they are, have been atop the league all season long. That was an awesome game at the Dunk, the Amp, whatever you want to call it. And the Big East is going to continue to be a thrill ride here over the next 3 weeks.
Like you said tonight and just as you were talking through that, the ACC Coach of the Year is likely to be somebody who was previously fired. And the Big East Coach of the Year, that's Jeff Capel, by the way. And the Big East Coach of the Year is likely to be somebody who wasn't fired or even pushed out, but was very much in an uncomfortable situation. That's a reasonable way to put it, right? Was in an uncomfortable situation at Texas, was going to enter the next season probably on those hot seat list. And he is on the verge of, being the you don't think so?
No, I do. Someone in the comment just said, is Shaka coaching his way into the Texas job? That's a funny comment. Ethan. That is good.
What if Shaka did so well Texas tried to hire him back?
I know. That's good.
We get a tweet from Rothstein. Sources, Texas has zeroed in on Shaka Smart to be its next head coach. Could do worse.
Yeah.
Could do worse. Here's the truth. Like, Shaka wasn't bad at Texas. He just wasn't what Texas wanted him to be. But we've been through that before. Yep. I do think it's interesting that Shaka Smart, in an uncomfortable position at Texas, is going to be the Big East Coach of the Year, it appears. And Jeff Capel, fired at Oklahoma, is going to be the ACC coach. There's life after death.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Shouts to BIG. I didn't know if that's where you're going with it.
No, I was just gonna stop right there. Big time game on CBS Sports Network tonight. Like, huge. How often do you get this? The winner of this particular game, whoever it is, will be alone atop its league standings when they go to bed tonight. That's a factual statement about Marquette Xavier tonight.
Seems like it happens somewhat often, but not every week.
Trying to hype this thing for CBS Sports Network.
It is hype. This is the game of the night.
What I needed you to say there was, GP, I haven't looked this up, but I don't think it's ever happened.
Okay.
That's what I was looking for.
Gaslighting the audience, always a winning strategy. It's my most anticipated game of the night. We'll preview Wednesday and Thursday at the end of the show here. However, whatever routes we take to get there, we will mention there's also obviously another very, very good game, and we'll get to that in just a second. But Xavier-Marquette is the goods. And if Marquette is able to win, I'm pretty sure this is the case. If Marquette wins, yes, it will be ensured. Marquette fans, get on this one. If Marquette wins, it will be ensured that it is not swept by Xavier. And because of that, it will avoid any kind of sweep in the Big East this season. Wonder when the last time that was true, that a Marquette team never got swept by an opponent in the regular season, any opponent. It will dodge that if it avenges its January 15th loss, only a 4-point defeat at Xavier. What else you got?
So Providence over Creighton, double overtime, obviously the biggest result of the past couple of nights, but there were some other interesting results. Texas Tech over Texas, proving that once again, I don't care where you're playing on the road in the Big 12, you got to play well or you'll get caught. Oklahoma State beat Kansas State. The Wildcats have now dropped 5 of their last 7. Syracuse beat NC State, had to remove Taquavion and my Wolfpack. Had to remove him from the top 25 and one. I didn't want to, but I didn't feel like I had a choice. Any thoughts on those results or any other results from the past couple of nights?
Let's hit on those three first. Texas is now tied with Kansas. Kansas also won. Grady Dick had a career best 26 points, won in convincing fashion. Self said afterwards it was one of the best games they played all season. They won at Oklahoma State, which had been really, really hot. So Bill Self gets a sweep of his alma mater this season, and now Kansas is 21-5 by winning the game, and Texas losing. It's Baylor, Texas, and Kansas all with 4 losses at 9-4, tied atop the Big 12 standings. That was a really, really impressive 40 minutes by Kansas, and I'm pretty sure I heard the announcer say Dick with the move, or a great move by Dick, like 6 times last night. I mean, I get it, but you can lay it on a little thick there, I feel.
Well, I know people intentionally lay it on a little thick. I think laying it on a little thick with Dick is like I'm doing it right now. But like there are things that even if you're calling a basketball game straight, it's just going to sound funny because his name's Dick, for crying out loud. If Kofi Coburn can change his name, the pronunciation of it at least, I don't know why Grady Dick couldn't.
The first thing in like Kansas is like these games happen, then the sports information directors, they send out recaps, and so if you're a media member, you're on the blast list. And even it's even finding its way into the copy. Like the first quote says, "I love it," Dick said afterward. Like,
it's this is his whole life. This is going to be the rest of his life.
I know.
This poor guy.
One of us.
I don't think I gotta believe it. I can look at him and tell he's one of us.
There we go. So anyway,
I bet he was one of us last night.
All right, here we go. Texas Tech beats Texas. Just a little inside baseball. Good God, Gary. That was getting that was going a very bad way, and Texas Tech is still having a season on the whole that is not what fans were hoping. But at one point, that was a 10-10 team that hadn't won a game in league play, and there was real noise that Mark Adams might not be able to hold on to his job by the end of the season. I think he's done enough there, and he'll be safe. But it has been there's been a lot down there in Lubbock, and for the program now to have won 4 of its past 6, good on them. Texas losing, it's those kind of games though. To your point, winning on the league in the Big 12, every single game, every single venue is hard, absolutely. But that kind of win, if you can pull it off on the road and take care of business at home, that's what it would have gotten Texas the standalone Big 12 championship. It can still get there, but that loss really does ding them. I do want to. I'm glad you brought up Oklahoma over Kansas State because, zero sum, right? You're going to have some teams take some surprising wins, and that means some other teams got to take some L's. So in the Big 12 right now, I mean, Iowa State, which plays Wednesday at home against TCU, Iowa State has lost 4 of 5. TCU, meantime, still waiting for Mike Miles to return, has lost 4 of 5 overall. And now Kansas State is another one. These were teams, there was a point when all of them were top 20 in the country, and they're still very good teams. But Kansas State, it was 17-2 almost a month ago. We look up now and it's 19-7. It's only got 2 wins in its past 7 games overall. So, these teams are all going to make the tournament with ease, but they have found the February woes, the dog days before you get to the, the pace and anxiety of March there. And just been a little bit of up and down stuff overall. Any thoughts on, I got a few more results you didn't hit on, but I don't want to move on to that in case you got thoughts on any of that stuff.
I do. Kansas State is 2-5 in its past 7 games. But I know it sounds ridiculous to try to rationalize 2-5 and try to say it's not that bad because 2-5 is 2-5. It's not that good. We can agree. But here's what it is. The losses, 5 losses, 2 road losses to top 20 teams, a home loss to a top 10 team, a road loss to a Texas team that just beat number 6, a road loss to a Texas Tech team that just beat number 6 Texas, and a road loss to an Oklahoma team that beat number 1 Alabama by 24. Those are the losses.
I know.
You don't want any of them, but they're all, this is the point I'm making. Even a legitimate top 20 team might go 2-5 in that 7-game stretch. Every team in the Big 12 this season has had a stretch where it has at least gone 1-2. Mm-hmm. Every Big 12 team in the league has lost 2 of 3 at some point. So is this damaging to Kansas State's number 1 seed hopes? Obviously, yes. Is it damaging to the ranking? Sure. I think I've dropped them down to 15 or so in the top 25 and 1. But I looked at this because I was in studio with Brent Stover on Tuesday night, and he was still riding the high of the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl, but somewhat disturbed by his Kansas State Wildcats struggling to this degree. And here's what I told him. After Kansas State beat Kansas, Jerome Tang got on the scores table. Wildcats were 16-2 overall, 5-1 in the Big 12. You know where they were in KenPom? 26th. You know where they are in KenPom right now?
27.
That's right.
Okay.
The record is different. The quality of this basketball team, I don't think, is much different than it was 7 games ago.
Yeah. Mr. Taylor in the comments just pointed out Oklahoma has more quad 1 wins than Carolina and Kentucky combined, which is accurate.
More than Central Michigan,
though? Those
yes,
chip infinitesimals. Yeah. Yeah, I think so combined. Yeah.
Okay.
Real quick, just a few more results. Penn State beat Illinois. Trains off the tracks again. We told you what would happen.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to do it.
That's what Gary Parrish is doing. Jalen Pickett went for 41 on 15 of 20 from the field, though. Big time stuff. He was awesome. He's the only player, shouts to Mike Miller, who runs the Field of 68's daily newsletter. He pointed this out. Pickett's the only active player in men's D1 with 2,000 points, 600 boards, and 700 assists. He was a really good player at Siena before he transferred, and he is at an All-American level right now. Penn State's not in the tournament. It needs to pick up some big wins, but he balled the hell out, and he is a very, very fun and reliable player. Good on him. 40-point score was the first time in like 50-plus years, I think, for Penn State to have someone drop a 40 there. Auburn, I was watching, but I was watching a lot of stuff. Auburn just destroyed Missouri. Missouri's coming off of winning at the buzzer at Tennessee. It goes down to the jungle, and it's 89-56. I don't know what you want from me. It's college basketball, but that was
anarchy. It's anarchy is what I read.
I think I've heard a man say that before. Coach K, no coincidence. Okay. Coach K, Duke gets screwed over by the refs, which always happens.
Always.
Then after not attending a game the entire season, this man's going to go out on Valentine's Day and bring his lovely bride of, 50-plus years to check in on that. Felt like a real chaperone situation happening at Cameron Indoor on Tuesday night. Chaperone. But obviously Mike Brey, outgoing Notre Dame coach.
Hey, Mickey, happy Valentine's Day. This is our first Valentine's Day in a million years where I haven't had to worry about a basketball team. You want to go down to Cameron and see John and Mike coach against each other?
It was a nice gesture for Krzyzewski, who, of course, brought Brey on. Brey famously was the last non-Duke player in the family guy to be an assistant before Krzyzewski exclusively went to that formula afterward. And so Notre Dame gave Duke a real good game. Duke got the win. And they even there was one point near the end of the game where Duke was playing the shots, everybody. And who's doing the chant? Who's into it? Mickey Krzyzewski.
Are you
all into it? So maybe you know what?
Maybe
Let's
it was her
not be
idea.
presumptive. Maybe she was like, Mike, you're going. I'm sick of this. Let's go.
Maybe she was like, maybe Mike was like, hey, sweet pea,
let's go.
What could I get you for Valentine's Day? And she's like, you know what I would like to do for Valentine's Day? I'd like to go to Cameron Indoor and get fired up to that shot song.
Exactly.
Plus some chocolate-covered strawberries. And he got some chocolate-covered strawberries, and they went to Cameron.
Very romantic. Good to see Kay back in the building. And the cameras were on him. Like it went 000s. He got the hell out of there, as he should have. He was like, "See you later. I'm going. I'll meet you in the locker room." But yeah, obviously a meetup with Mike Brey, who those two remain really, really good friends after all these years. What
if he showed up only because he was like, "I'm not going to let the ref screw John again. They won't do it. They won't do it if they see me there."
Correct.
They would never do it in front of me. They wouldn't do it to me. Everybody on Saturday said they wouldn't do it to Kay, but they also won't do it in front of me. So come on, Mickey, let's get down to Cameron.
Couple of chaperones at the middle school dance. That's what we had there in Durham on Tuesday night. My last one is New Mexico is Clemsoning. And by that, I mean, it is now tracking to do what Clemson did in the Oliver Purnell era, halcyon days. be the last undefeated team in the country, and then go to the NIT. Right now, they've gone from 14-0 to 19-7. They lost to lowly Wyoming on Tuesday night. New Mexico is comfortably out of the tournament situation, but next 3 are at San Jose State, which is a good team. I'm going to say that's a quad 2 game off the top of my head. At Boise State, quad 1, and then home versus San Diego State, which I would it might even be a quad 1. I don't know where SDSU is in the net as of now. If New Mexico can win those 3, then yeah, they're back in the discussion. They're back in the field if they get those 3 in a row, but they got to do it. Richard Pitino's team has it's gone weird quickly, but it's it is far from the worst situation at a school in that state.
That's one way to get to it.
Lofted right underhand, 54 miles an hour right over the plate for you, GP.
Before we look ahead to the next couple of nights, we should update you on the situation at New Mexico State, because the school on Wednesday fired first-year coach Greg Heyer just days after his program was shut down for the season. What a wild turn of events for Greg. March 2022, gets his first Division I head coaching job. And all these things happen since then. Some of his players involved in a fight in a football game. One of his players shot a person to death. 3 players are accused of hazing a teammate in a way that could be interpreted as sexual assault. The university eventually shut down the program with a 2-10 conference record. And then Greg Heyer was fired less than 11 months after getting the job. It's hard to have something go worse than that, isn't it?
Yeah, this might be the worst of all time, as has been pointed out, and was really, frankly, something that came up to me last year, and just, in passing when he got the job, because there was curiosity over who would get the New Mexico State job. Frank Martin was even attached to that, among some other coaches there. But it's like, Greg Heyer's going to get that job. You mean the guy that was on Greg Marshall's staff and worked for Will Wade? That guy's going to get the New Mexico State job. Like, that was part of in back channels. That was part of it. And now it looks even worse.
Well, like, isn't the connection there? Like, he and Jans were tight. He and Chris Jans, like, they worked together as well. So I always assumed that was the connection there.
Yes.
Like is Greg Heyer the next Chris Jans? Let's see.
And he is not. He has now been fired, which was expected. The rest of the staff is on administrative leave. The president of the university fired him. There are, ongoing speculation if there will be a change at AD. There will be a new president. Like, that president is also leaving this summer. So we really could have, from the top down, change at New Mexico State. And that's, to be honest, that's what needs to happen here. The details in the police report, they're heinous, and there's a lot to be figured out with that program. I also have stuff on the WAC and the court report, because it stopped its season. There were 6 games in the league that needed to be accounted for. They ultimately decided to forfeit those games. I'm not going to run you down the whole thing. Just go read it. Our off-season listeners will remember, I broke a story last offseason where the WAC is seeding its conference tournament, not on conference wins and losses. It is seeding its tournament based on how you performed against your schedule for the entirety of the season. The reason why is it's got a new commissioner, Brian Thornton. He's trying to incentivize his teams to schedule as best they can, so it gives the WAC its best chance at its best team in the tournament. You get a team in the tournament that wins, obviously you get more money. It's better representation for the league. Coincidentally enough, New Mexico State did this a year ago. It won in the tournament as a 12 seed and upset number 5 seed UConn there. So the details are all in that, but the forfeits fortunately mean that the standings of the WAC in their WAC resume seeding system, no team jumped another because of this. The forfeits were automatically awarded and basically all regarded of a value of a home win. Thornton details that within, but what could have been, from just a purely competitive standpoint, a standing standpoint heading into the tournament, a team just simply opting to not play the remainder of its season, that actually can provide some real logistical hurdles. Looks like the WAC has handled that pretty well overall, and you still got to get the auto bid by winning it. So it doesn't matter if you're the number 1 seed or the number 8 or the number 12, you have to win the games to get the auto bid. This is just setting up the league for its best chance at having its best team win out in a 12-team bracket.
Boy, the sun's getting bright here in New York City. Can you tell?
Yeah. It
wasn't like this 55 minutes ago. Now my back's hot.
It was a little bit like that yesterday. I mean, before we preview this game, GP and I had a little photo shoot. We're getting some headshots, some body shots here. Shots. because we're going to have some new podcast stuff. Although I got to be honest here. Now, you got a couple of those photos, by the way? You got, if Nada has them, I might have sent him one or two. They're both good. One of them's the one I took of you with the raising the roof. Here's the deal. I gave it a little bit of goofiness, but like when we were doing the 2-shot, you and me, I didn't feel like you got loose enough.
Here's the thing. Every photo shoot I ever have to do reminds me of how much I hate myself.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to get into it and have fun with it because the whole time I'm just thinking about how much I hate myself.
As I told you yesterday, you are extremely photogenic. So this is an unfounded opinion.
I asked the photographer, I said, do you got one of them Harry Styles filters you can put on me? I would like to look like Harry Styles.
There's only so much that can be done.
But like something can be done. Can't you make me look more like Harry Styles than me? Not exactly like Harry Styles, just more like Harry Styles, less like me.
If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button.
Hey, YouTube.
You see a photo of GP jazz hands. What's actually happening is if you watch stuff on YouTube, you'll notice that the teaser thumbnails will often have the hosts, the content producers, right? You will have a facial reaction that is somewhat tied to the thing that you're going to be talking about in that video. So GP and I had to give like 20 different emotions yesterday.
And I don't even have 20 different emotions. I have 3 emotions, like frustration, disappointment, and uneasiness. Those are my only real emotions.
And each time they ask you to do that, you were like, I'm just going to think about Pitt fans. And it got you there, which was great.
That Chris Klein fellow from American Pie. They said, show me your frustration face. And I started trying to think of Chris Klein from American Pie.
Now, here's the real good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see, first of all, GP had to stand on a box. The first one wasn't high enough. The second one, he was taller than me. He's like, this is what we're going to say. You were like 6'5".
I wanted to be 6'5".
Like a shipping crate.
I was
like, let's go with this other one there. You can still see he's on it. And there's, not quite at eye level, but it turned out well. I gave a couple of goofy looks. I hope we can use them in some way. They said we had that sitcom duo vibe, which I thought I tried.
I was very self-aware while we were doing it. I knew I was disappointing everybody because I wasn't into it as much as I should have been, but I can't get into it because I hate myself.
The only thing that maybe would have changed is when I got there shortly before you did, and they asked, what kind of music do you want to listen to? And I was, and then someone, no lie, and I can't remember which of, it was just an awesome team there. Someone was like, you want to do Guster? And I was like, we don't have to do Guster. Like, I'll listen to it, but like, I don't need you to queue up Lost and Gone Forever for me to really find myself here. But they never asked you what music you want to listen to because the fantasy football and baseball guys came in after and did some stuff. And
I would have said Harry Styles. I would have said, put on one of them Harry Styles album, get your Harry Styles filter out. And
I could have gone with little music for a sushi restaurant. That would have really gotten it going. To be honest, I would have been down with that. So anyway, I bring it up because we will have those things will be out in the wild at some point there. But it was a lot of fun and good to see you. Good to see you in person. You want to preview the next couple of nights of games here?
Yeah, we got a pretty good slate on Wednesday night. We've already mentioned number 16 Xavier at number 11 Marquette on CBS Sports Network. Can't wait for that one. Also, number 1 Alabama at number 10 Tennessee. Woo!
Second best game of the night.
Where Tennessee is a 3.5-point favorite over the number 1 team in the country. How irritated?
Disrespectful?
That is wildly disrespectful.
Disrespectful.
Hold on. Tennessee loses every game at the buzzer. Now they're supposed to beat Alabama by 4.
And they scored 46 against Auburn.
That's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. How irritated are people going to be when Purdue's number 1 Thursday morning, top 25 and 1? Because that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed.
Oh, man. Bama Tennessee is a very, very good game. I'm very excited for it. I am narrowly more excited for Xavier at Marquette because I think the potential for that game to be more watchable and entertaining is better. Tennessee, just its offense just completely disappears for great stretches there. But maybe the Vols win. I won't be surprised if the Vols win. That will not surprise me, but I think that Bama is going to go in. And I think if Bama does go in and wins, definitively, like a big-time statement, it just reinforces this notion that Bama is the most dangerous team in the country. And I think there is something to that there when you consider how hot it's been, how well it's played. And, again, one loss since December 17th.
I think Alabama is the most dangerous team in the country. I think Houston is the most reliable team in the country. Houston has 2 losses by a total of 7 points. And I know they don't play in the Big 12 or the Big 10, but Houston would obviously be great in any league. This will always be a fun game if Tennessee wins. Do a Twitter search tonight for the word Tennessee and upset, because you'll have a slew of legitimate media outlets.
I know.
Tennessee upset number 1 Alabama as a 3.5-point favorite. That'll happen. Number 14 Indiana at Northwestern. That's a good one.
That's a really good one. By the way, there's a very good Bama stat. I will not trivia time GP. Third item in today's court report has something about Bama's 20-year gap between number 1 rankings and the longest gaps of all time ever. Some good stuff there. So be sure to check that out. Indiana Northwestern.
You're not going to give it to you. Protect this court report stuff.
I want to tease it. Go have them look.
Our presidents aren't as secretive with
we know that.
with classified files
That's
as you
right.
are with this court report nonsense. Tell us something
All
that's
the
in the
tease.
court report. Tell us
You want it
one
right now?
thing.
You want it right now?
I want it right now.
What school do you think is the longest gap between reaching number 1 ranking? Bama, it took them 20 years. It's the 15th longest drought in history. I thought it might be like top 10. No. What school? Longest drought ever. Houston is second longest and did it this season.
I would have. That was going to be my guess.
And who did Houston lose to after getting the number 1 ranking? Alabama. It's all connected, GP. It's all connected. That's 40 years. The longest drought is 45 years. Power conference school in the middle of the country.
UMass Lowell.
Give me a real guess.
Okay, power conference school in the middle of the country. A power conference school in the middle of the country.
Number 1 ranking in the 2000s to end a 45-year drought.
Oklahoma.
Wrong state, right letter.
I don't know any other words that start with O.
Okay.
Wrong state starts with O. Middle America.
Yep.
I don't think that exists.
Ohio State.
Yep. Damn it, that does start with an O.
Yeah. It's
I knew
1961-62 season all the way to 06-07. Shouts to your guy, Mike Conley. They went 45 years between number 1 rankings. That is the longest drought of all time. If you want the top 5, go read the court report. Northwestern plays at Indiana, and you know what that means. Number 2 in the Big Ten is on the line. Let's go. They're both 9-5. They're both 18-7. We recorded. We called it, by the way. We told you what was going to happen.
Yep.
We recorded on Sunday morning.
Yep.
Northwestern was going to upset number 1 Purdue, and it happened. What do you want from us? Okay.
I couldn't help but check Twitter. I was busy.
I know.
I was busy missing putts. And I was because one time I checked, Purdue was up 8. I was like, okay, this is fine. And then I saw it, and I was like, these sons of guns, they did it to us again. They
Northwestern
did it to us.
In good position here. That's a good resume. Good. How close are they to your top 25-1?
Northwestern is in the top 25-1. That's what Chris Klein is so mad about.
I know. It was just a reset, just a tee.
Northwestern is a few spots ahead of Pitt. Chris Klein couldn't understand it. If his life depended on it, he wouldn't be able to understand it.
Wednesday is loaded, by the way. I'll be on HQ later tonight. GP will be in studio as always on a Wednesday night for CBS Sports Network. I'll just rip through these real quick. Arkansas, trying to get to be the Warhogs, going to Texas A&M. A&M is sitting there second in the SEC and fighting for that position there. TCU at Iowa State, 2 slumping teams, 9 Eastern on ESPNU. Kentucky at Mississippi State, 8:30 SEC Network. Kentucky at Mississippi State. Just keep an eye. You got 6 good / urgent / intriguing games here on Wednesday. That would be your top 6 for me. And on Thursday, GP, what stands out?
State is a 3-point favorite over John Calipari's Wildcats.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not disrespectful. It's not lying too little. That's right on the money.
On Thursday?
Yeah, what do we got?
Number 3, Purdue at Maryland. And number 13, Gonzaga at Loyola Marymount. Loyola Marymount obviously already winning at the Kennel earlier this season. Those are the two games that highlight Thursday's schedule.
Yeah, Thursday's a little bit lighter. Purdue at Maryland's obviously one you got to tune in for. 6:30 Eastern, Big Ten Network. See how the Boilermakers respond. Maryland is, it was up, then it was down. Now it's back up again. And it played Purdue well back in January, only lost by 3. And really, if you looked at how Northwestern played Purdue and then how Maryland used a press, had some success. We'll see if Purdue can come out looking better there. I don't know. We'll have an interesting thing to talk about if the Boilermakers go on the road and get dropped there. And then, Gonzaga's just looking to dodge the sweep at LMU. That's an 11 Eastern CBS Sports Network tip. There's a few other games, but not a ton of intrigue. Wednesday's the night. That's where you want to be. And, of course, we'll be back here bright and early on Friday morning.
That's a 65-minute Wednesday podcast.
That's tons of stuff, dude.
That ain't no joke.
No, there's no short. It's getting to be that time. How's your neck doing? Getting a little sunburn at this point? A little hot?
The sun came out from behind these buildings about mid-podcast. It got my...
It's called the rotation of the earth. Yeah.
I got a bruise right here. I don't even know what happened.
All right.
Is it because I'm too strong?
I don't think so.
I noticed this morning. Like, how did I get a bruise right there? What happened to me?
I think it's time to go.
Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Shouts to Huck and Larnell. Thank you guys once again for listening to the Ion College Basketball Podcast. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe anywhere you subscribe to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. 5 stars, nice review at Apple. Type words. There's more of us than there are of them. We are all Grady Dicks. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, knock that out while you're here. We're going to talk to you again on Friday morning. I'll check the trajectory of the sun before we do it. Till then, take care.